Mexican president has defended the military operation that captured a drug cartel leader, Ovidio Guzman.
A secret war is raging just beyond the U.S. border. Covert raids, drones, and financial warfare. But is America solving the problem or making it worse? Cartel country, U.S. Special Forces are doing what no one's supposed to know. Delta Force, Navy SEALs, no flags, no patches, just unmarked weapons, thermal drones, and surgical night raids. These aren't your typical arrests. These are killer capture missions built for speed and silence. Facial recognition systems lock onto cartel leaders while squads move in under total darkness. The Mexican government often claims responsibility, but behind the scenes, it's America pulling the trigger. And when the cartels figure it out, they put bounties on U.S. operatives' heads, turning every mission into a deadly cat-and-mouse game. There are no headlines, no press briefings, just bodies and denials. It's war without borders, and no one's playing by the rules. In cartel hotspots, U.S. drones hover non-stop, watching, recording, and relaying every movement in real time. These aren't just flying cameras. They're equipped with heat sensors, night vision, and high-resolution zooms. From drug convoys to hidden labs, nothing escapes their view. Cartels are constantly being watched, even when they think they're alone. But the real power lies in the AI. Advanced algorithms track cartel leaders' daily routines, when they sleep, who they visit, and where they hide. One unusual movement can trigger a strike. This data isn't just used for surveillance. It turns into battlefield intelligence, guiding raids and arrests with surgical precision. To fight back, cartels shoot down drones or try to jam their signals. But replacements arrive within hours, sometimes smaller, stealthier, and smarter. This 24/7 digital chokehold forces cartels into hiding, abandoning vehicles, avoiding phones, even ditching GPS. The sky has eyes now, and they never blink. Cartels live and die by their cash flow, and the U.S. knows it. The Treasury's OFAC unit freezes assets tied to drug money, whether it's a penthouse in Manhattan or a fake business in Panama. These strikes hit harder than bullets, collapsing entire financial networks built over decades. The strategy targets not just the drug lords, but also their accountants, frontmen, and silent partners. Laundering rings that once seemed invisible now light up under forensic audits and international banking intel. With one move, the U.S. can paralyze a cartel's global operations without ever crossing a border. Desperate, cartels switch to smuggling bulk cash or using cryptocurrency. But it's a losing game. Blockchain tracking software can follow even the most encrypted transactions, and every crypto move leaves a digital footprint. The message is clear. If you touch cartel money, you're already on the radar. Instead of boots on the ground, the U.S. trains elite Mexican units, teaching them American tactics, surveillance methods, and urban warfare. These squads launch high-risk raids with precision, often taking down cartel leaders in explosive operations. It's an indirect way for America to strike without ever appearing in the spotlight. But with this power comes controversy. Some of these units face serious accusations: brutality, corruption, and even working with rival cartels. Trust is fragile, and oversight is murky. While their methods mimic U.S. standards, their actions sometimes spark backlash from human rights groups and the Mexican public. Still, Washington sees it as a win. The U.S. avoids messy headlines about foreign troop deployments, and Mexico takes the credit, or the blame. It's modern proxy warfare at its finest. Fight the enemy, control the outcome, and never leave a fingerprint. The U.S.-Mexico border has become a high-tech war zone. Towering thermal cameras, vibration sensors buried underground, and AI software monitor every inch. These systems detect movement long before cartels even cross the line, alerting agents, drones, or paramilitary patrols. It's no longer a fence. It's a digital battlefield. AI now maps out smuggling routes based on data patterns. By predicting when and where traffickers will strike, agents can ambush them before they even make a move. Cartels are forced to adapt in bizarre ways, like using homemade submarines or digging tunnels dozens of feet deep. But even that's not enough. The U.S. tech blockade is so intense, some cartels abandon smuggling altogether, shifting to kidnapping, extortion, and cybercrime instead. It proves one thing. When you choke the front door, they'll find a back window. But it always comes at a higher cost.
January 2023. The streets of Sinaloa erupt into chaos. The arrest of a drug lord's son.
Cartels rely on drug crops like poppy and coca, but the U.S. is turning those fields into dust. Spray planes armed with herbicides sweep across plantations, killing plants and destroying the soil in minutes. Entire harvests vanish overnight, dealing a devastating blow to the cartel's income and supply chain. Behind the scenes, DEA chemists track every ingredient used in synthetic drug labs. If a shipment of precursors shows up in Asia or Europe, they trace it back to the source and then shut it down fast. Labs get bombed, raided, or exposed, cutting off production before drugs hit the streets. In response, cartels move deeper into the jungles to avoid detection. But these locations are harder to manage, riskier to reach, and yield far less product. The result? Skyrocketing costs and declining profits. The U.S. isn't just fighting drugs, it's starving them at the root. Cartels thrive in silence, but the U.S. is turning up the volume. Government-backed ads flood Mexican TV and radio, exposing brutal executions, child trafficking, and extortion, ripping apart the Robin Hood image the cartel leaders try to sell. The message is clear. These aren't heroes, they're monsters hiding behind guns. At the same time, anonymous tip lines light up. Locals fed up with violence begin whispering secrets, safe houses, drug routes, names. Each tip sparks a chain reaction. A single phone call can bring down an entire network, all without a single American agent setting foot across the border. To twist the knife further, the U.S. spreads disinformation inside the cartels themselves. Fake rumors of snitches trigger internal purges, executions, and mass distrust. It's psychological warfare at its finest, tearing down loyalty, brotherhood, and fear with whispers and lies. No bullets needed, just doubt.
If you've bought cocaine in Europe any time in the last 5 years, chances are it's passed through an Albanian organized crime group.
Cartel bosses may feel untouchable, but their families are not. The U.S. quietly revokes visas, freezes bank accounts, and seizes luxury homes bought under fake names. Suddenly, their wives can't shop in Miami, and their kids are expelled from elite schools. The cartel's power starts to feel very real and very vulnerable. These targeted pressure tactics don't involve raids or bullets, just paperwork and patience. But they hit where it hurts most: reputation, comfort, and legacy. Cartel leaders face a brutal choice: keep running the empire or risk losing everything that gives it meaning. Sometimes, fear for family does what firepower can't. For decades, the U.S. has hunted cartel leaders like war criminals, arresting or killing them with dramatic precision. El Chapo, El Mencho's lieutenants. Each takedown grabs headlines and sends shockwaves through the drug world. But removing the head doesn't always kill the snake. It often splits it into many. With a boss gone, lieutenants and rivals fight to fill the power vacuum. Cartels that were once unified now fracture into violent splinter groups. They wage war not just against the government, but against each other. Streets, once ruled by order, become free-for-alls drenched in blood. The upside? These internal wars distract cartels from their core business, drug trafficking. Smuggling routes get neglected, profits dip, and power weakens. But the downside is brutal. Higher violence, more civilian deaths, and a criminal landscape that mutates into something even more chaotic. It's a dangerous gamble with no clear winner.
Armed drones are among the most precise and lethal weapon systems in the American arsenal.
The DEA doesn't just chase criminals, it flips them. Low-level cartel workers are offered cash, safety, and new identities in exchange for secrets. Every flipped informant becomes a ticking time bomb, leaking details that can unravel an entire network. And once one flips, paranoia spreads like wildfire. Cartels start turning on their own, torturing, interrogating, and even executing members over the slightest suspicion. Trust crumbles, brotherhood shatters. The U.S. doesn't need an army when fear of betrayal is doing the dirty work from the inside. Forget old-school wiretaps. Today's war uses sci-fi-grade tools, voice ID software, vein pattern scanners, and biometric tracking that doesn't even require physical contact. Cartel members can't speak, write, or walk without leaving digital breadcrumbs. No phones? No problem. Even a cough or gesture can be flagged, identified, and geolocated. Satellites with ultra-zoom resolution scan jungle camps and vehicles from space. Long-range directional microphones capture conversations through walls, meaning even handwritten notes or whispered meetings aren't secure anymore. There's nowhere to hide when the sky, ground, and air are all listening. This growing tech gap gives the US an edge no cartel can match. For every tactic the cartels invent, America deploys a smarter counter. And unlike humans, this surveillance doesn't sleep, hesitate, or get paid off. It just watches and waits.
This is the only route into Aguililla, the town at the heart of a war between two cartels in Michoacan, southwest Mexico.
Every fractured cartel leaves behind chaos. With leaders dead or captured, lieutenants fight for scraps, creating new factions that are smaller but often more brutal. Cities like Tijuana and Guadalajara become battlegrounds with civilians caught in the middle. The US hopes this chaos will eventually burn out the system. But that hope comes at a price. Mass killings spike, corruption spreads deeper, and fear rules entire regions. For every cartel that weakens, another hybrid rises, leaner, meaner, and more tech-savvy. The drug flow never fully stops, it just reroutes and evolves. Washington gambles that short-term pain will lead to long-term collapse. But with billions in drug profits and endless recruits, cartels are proving hard to kill. The real question now is the US winning, or just feeding a cycle it can no longer control? The US war on cartels is brutal, high-tech, and full of secrets. But can destruction truly bring peace, or just new forms of chaos? Let us know what you think in the comments. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more deep dives into global power, strategy, and conflict.